welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. It's 2 for Tuesday, Part 2, Indictment Day. Nope, not that. Arraignment Day, Part 2. Wow. Already quite eventful. If you haven't been awake in the last 6 years, Donald Trump, thank Christ, former president of the United States, got arrested today. And he got arraigned today. And he's got a rather serious case in front of him. And he's going to respond to that, theoretically, at 8 o'clock. I can only assume against the advice of his counsel. He's never been one to put over much weight in his lawyer's opinions. We also have Bo the Fifth column with a breakdown on the gag order and an interesting thing that he added that I wish I would have considered before the last stream, which is that they're likely to change. Wicked Foxy Dragon says, did you have a chance to read the indictment and the statement of facts? I did indeed. She says, no surprises, but awesome that they have so much evidence. Yeah. We actually have it up here in an article. Yeah. Falsifying business records in the first degree. That is what the defendant is accused of. In the first count, let's see. Second count, where is this here? Falsifying business records in the first degree. Third count, now this is going to shock you. Falsifying business records in the first degree. Fourth count, falsifying business records in the first degree. So, yeah, it's exactly what Alvin Bragg laid out in the press conference following the arrest and arraignment. If you were to take out the fact that it is a former president, I see nothing particularly odd about this case. Maybe it would just be how long it took them to bring it, but factor back in that it's a former president, suddenly it all makes sense. We're for sure going to do a deeper dive, but as Foxy put it, there's really nothing terribly shocking in there. If you saw Alvin Bragg's press conference, then you'll be familiar with the basics here. Foxy Dragon says he will be late for his talk today. I would be shocked if he were ever on time for anything he said he was going to do. But let's nonetheless jump right into a Bo of the Fifth column video because he talks about relevant things which may come up in Donald Trump's very press conference. He was discussing a little bit earlier gag orders and whether or not Donald Trump will be put in one. We since found out no, he won't. I think that is a unwise I don't know. I would have thought that's an unwise thing for a judge to do, but given his conduct already. But Bo makes an interesting point. Let's have a look.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So
Hey, Bo.
today we are going to talk about whether or not the judge is going to do Trump a big favor. It is something we're expected to know a little bit more about today, and there are a whole lot of opinions floating around out there about what the outcome is going to be. And it's pertaining to the question of whether or not the judge is going to tell Trump to be quiet. It's really what it boils down to. So there are two main groups of people when it comes to this conversation. You have those who say it's an almost certainty that the judge is going to issue a gag order and tell Trump not to talk about stuff. And then on the other side, you have
I don't know that I would have said almost certainty, but I was certainly of the belief that I would have thought that was more likely than not today.
those people
But it didn't happen.
saying it's an almost certainty that he won't, um, that he won't face that kind of restriction. Me personally, I don't know. I think that it's probably likely that the judge caution him and maybe issue an order. If there is an order that's issued, my guess is that it's going to be very narrow in scope and that it won't take long for Trump to violate it.
So first things first, credit to Nostradamus over here. Yeah, that is exactly what happened. It wasn't a gag order, but he did caution. I suppose, he cautioned both parties. But really, come on. Yeah, we know who that was intended for most. So, yeah, credit to Bo. That's basically what happened. He cautioned the people against causing a ruckus with the case, but he did not issue a gag order. Yeah.
Trump has a habit of being a person who likes to create fictions and say them so often that they are believed. The judge probably wants to try the case within the courtroom, not in the court of public opinion. Limiting what Trump says is one way to help achieve that, because there is a worry that anything the former president says might lead to the jury being influenced or intimidated, or other people being intimidated or influenced, people that have a direct connection to the case. That being said, there's a huge First Amendment thing here. So any order is going to be narrow in scope, I would hope. But we don't know. And if you look at the conversations coming from the experts, you'll realize they don't know either. They both sides have very good points as to why the judge would do what they're saying. But this, at the end of it, it comes down to what the judge decides.
This is what caught me.
I know that this is something that has a lot of speculation. Nope. And the reality is we're going to find out soon.
This last bit here.
And then the follow-up reality is no matter what happens, it's likely to change.
That is such a good point. No matter what happens, it's likely to change. Why? Well, tell us.
Because if the judge chooses not to issue an order, Trump may start saying things that change the mind of the judge. And if the judge issues an order, I do feel like Trump would probably violate it pretty quickly via social media, even unintentionally.
So that right there, I think, is the that right there, I think, is the big one. Look, even if the judge has not yet issued an order, I feel like earlier I was making it seem like either the order is issued today or we're going to have chaos for this whole trial. And just looking back on the way I was talking, and if that was the impression I gave, it was a wrong one. And that was certainly, I don't know. To me, here was my worry. If his behavior thus far hasn't constituted a gag order, then I'm worried, well, what can this guy possibly do? Do we have to wait for Alvin Bragg to lose a family member to a psychopath before we get this an order put in place? And but Bo makes a good point. The judge is now, I mean, there's officially a relationship here between these groups. And the judge will have the ability to contact Donald Trump's attorneys and say, look, you're your client needs to do X or Y, or there's going to be X or Y consequences. It gives me a little bit of relief. Well, we've got a local. Oh, that's not what I meant to click. We've got a local station here. Let's have a look at it. It is WFLA 8 in Florida. And they are
years younger than Joe
covering this
Biden.
show.
And he's also facing all of these legal challenges. And so is he going to be distracted? So when you start to put in percentages, you have to add all of these factors in to weigh that. And that
It looks like they're getting ready to start soon. Don't mind terribly. I'm going to make this full screen. There we go. Yep.
war of aggression.
Let's listen in here live really quickly.
Good Lord, DJT is looking worse and worse every time I see him. Jesus. I'm turning that down for a couple of reasons. One of them, sure, copyright. The other, it just ain't right to play pop music for this guy. I don't know. He needs like a dirge with horns. Let me get off the screen so I can get a lovely screenshot. Where is Ivanka? Says Mother's Gory. Yeah, where indeed? They seem to have fallen out. What a sad song, says Bobby Harper, indeed. Trump got indicted with laughing. Oh, Brian Kane says Ivanka is hot. Well, to each their own. I swear we are living in Black Mirror at this point, says Visale. Visale. What a bizarre display of denial. Yeah.
And back here in the Stream Center, we saw members of Donald Trump's family. We saw some of his, of course, allies as far as his campaign for 2024 walk into the room. So we're
Woof.
live.
Well, 34 counts is not insignificant, says Franny P. Yes, indeed. Wireless Mike, happy indictment day, y'all.
The United States, if you're looking for it as far as the
Oh,
press
yeah.
here on WFLA now as soon as it gets.
The statement of facts gave a lot of the details.
Back here to the Stream Center with, of course, our
Whoop,
guests,
I need to
Masa
turn this
Saeed,
down before I get hit. Thank you, slight delay. Gonna turn that way down before they turn the music up. So, I just want to be careful about what we say about the actual case laid out. It looks like what they said it was. There's nothing in there that is a curveball. There's nothing that's like I think this. There's no individual part of it that is a plot twist. I need to look closer at the parties involved, though, because I will say AMI is a much bigger part of it than I had initially realized. I was under the impression that it was like AMI was a small part of that story, but no, they were the people that handled the payments actually, for the most part, at least if I read that correctly, and only at the end was it a Michael Cohen production. So that'll be intriguing to watch play out as we see David Picard and National Enquirer come up in the public conversation more and more. God, you look at this and can really see where the where the disconnect for Donald Trump must come from. There's that music playing. They got gaudy American flags filling every crevice. There's the hall is packed for Donald Trump's speech. But he looked baffled earlier today. In New York, he was looking around. Where's all my people? Well, they congregate here, Donald Trump. Your people are here, and less are they anywhere else. The delicious, delicious irony will be if Donald Trump runs for governor of Florida from prison. JFJ Live says, woohoo! Old pal Jake, greetings, homie. Greetings to you, JFJ Live. Good to see you, man. Pert Beer says, don't drop the soap, Donnie. Yes, I wouldn't recommend it. It's impossible to grab it again. It's just so slippery. Patrick Kibido says, what a ridiculous number of flags. They don't hide his wannabe autocratic ass. Yeah, this guy has no class. He has no sense of why these things are the way they are. Like when you put a flag up, he doesn't understand what makes that a respectful act. He doesn't understand what the purpose of it is supposed to be. And that's true of everything he touches. Like when he does gold-plated toilet seats. That's such a weird damn picture. I kind of want to listen in on what they're saying now. But the point just being I am sure gold is not particularly comfortable to sit on. He doesn't get, from what I've seen, the purpose of why things are the way they are, and looks only for excuses to aggrandize himself. I hope that's a word because I used it.
But we don't necessarily want you not to follow the law. And so depending on how DeSantis continues his response to how Donald Trump's story, these indictments unfold, will really be telling on whether he can be competitive when and if he decides to run for president. This is not a done deal.
He has been waiting for this and a change of the law in Florida. But I'm sure he has been waiting to even have that conversation about change in the law for the Trump ship to sink a little bit lower amongst the waves. People were making fun of him for not engaging Trump and yada, yada, yada. He doesn't need to make an enemy. The calculation may be wrong still. And he should maybe have struck at when the iron was hotter or whatever. But it is a calculation. He's clearly said, I don't need to make an enemy of this guy. He's going down. He won't be an obstacle. Oh.
Others that are getting the grand treatment of a grand entrance. I feel like there should be the old school days when somebody would announce you to the court, right? Where is the? I don't hear any announcements coming in, but here are some others that are walking in. We saw of course, Trump family.
That ain't good. We fought a war in the 1700s to make sure that those days were dead and buried.
Many questions that we can get to from our Facebook.
Although I will say, I would love. I would love somebody with a bugle to play people in.
We're going to be getting to as many.
So I am a hypocrite.
The quicker that we are, the more that we can get to. So let's try to get to as many.
The stress.
As possible. Smith
Delighted not to be there.
Says hashtags for all around saying if Trump gets reelected, in 2024 who is likely to become the new vice president of the United States, it's certainly not going to be Mike Pence. I think
Nor
we
is it
can say
going to be
that.
Mickey Mouse
Yeah.
or the
Right.
president of Disney. So we know who it won't be.
Yeah, that's
It's
really
not
the
going to be Mike
extent
Pence.
of-
I'm so jealous. The folks from the Eager Beaver podcast have a system for displaying viewer comments, and I haven't wanted to embarrass myself by just asking them how they're doing that. But I think I maybe gotta, because it's a good one. Also, working on a system for taking calls. Is that Mike Lindell? That is Mike Lindell. Oh, okay. This is going to be a weird press conference, y'all. I don't know. How do you guys feel about Discord? A lot of people speaking very positively of Discord.
So, Karen is asking in our comment section.
I thought that was going to be Trump being played in. Perd Beer says, I hope he runs and wins the nomination, and then a third center-right candidate runs and teaches the Republicans a lesson. Yes. I think that it will require effort, and we're going to have to work like hell to make it happen. But I do feel that in the end, the Dems are going to just sweep in 2024. You cannot have such public chaos like we have had and have it be so abundantly clear who cannot run the country, who has no ability to run the country, who has nothing but bad ideas, like we have had without consequences. Perd Beer saying Discord is great. Okay. Wireless Mike 73. Oh my God, Mike Pillow is in his house. Hide your spare change, everybody. And Miss Amanda Patton says, knock wood, man. Yes, indeed. Let's hope that this guy does not wind up as president of anything ever again. Lordy Lou. The tea we are drinking today is a good old-fashioned A&W root beer. And every mildly portly man who walks by those flags gets me all jumpy. But they do have a helpful counter over there, so credit where it's due. This is a good setup. By the way, if you're in Wisconsin, well, shit, it's 8:09. If you're in Wisconsin and you haven't voted yet, then I hope you are in line to vote. Wait, Wisconsin, where's the time zones? You might have an hour left to vote. Oh, all right. Let's have a look. Wisconsin time, Central Daylight, excellent. Okay. If you're in Wisconsin and you haven't voted yet, put this on your cell phone. No need to close the stream down. Put it on your cell phone, for God's sake. You don't even have to have the volume up. Just play the stream. But more importantly, go vote. You have got 50 minutes to get in line and possibly, literally, save the country. You should do that. Please do it. It is an extraordinarily, what do you call it? Important election. Ian Adams says, stop showing everyone waiting on Trump. It's playing right into his hands. Just review his comments as an afterthought. I am not sure that does play into his hands. I do agree that if you're giving Donald Trump attention as opposed to another candidate, if it's about, matters of politics, sure, that would play into his hand. If, however, you are talking about the arrest of a person, and they're going to go talk about it. It's pretty standard to show the whole thing, you know? Wireless Mike, has there been any word on the polls yet? Predictions, anything? Donald Trump was sharing a recent poll that was actually an Ipsos poll, so it lends more credence to it, saying that amongst Republicans, he had a significant lead over Ron DeSantis, which is not worth much. Oh my God. He's shared. Good Lord. Sorry, I'm scrolling through Truth Social, wondering if any of this is of use to you guys. Yeah, so he's been just feverishly posting clips of Fox News. But I've seen some of these, and they're not particularly, what do you call it? They don't exactly clean his hands of this. Let's see. Up at 8:15, he says he's delivering remarks. He said 2 hours ago, Alvin Bragg shut down New York City, brought in 38,000 NYPD officers, and will spend an estimated, $200 million of NYC funds for a totally legal $130,000 NDA that I didn't disclose and tried to cover up through fraud. On top of all, I added that last part. On top of that, the Ninth Circuit Court just awarded me $122,000 over the $500,000 already awarded from Stormy Horseface Daniels. Keeping it classy. Glad to see that. Oh my God. So he's just been going nuts on True Social. Just posting all kinds of things. And the funny part about it is it's broken up by these creepy True Social ads. And a lot of them use Donald Trump's face. So you've got like Donald Trump telling you QAnon stuff and ranting about how he's terrified that he's being arrested or just, treated like anybody else who did a crime. And they're broken up by like, by the way, buy gold. Take advantage of this IRS loophole. Hey, old folks, give us your money. It's wild, man. Wow, a significant lead over the guy who hasn't said he is running yet, says Foxy Dragon. Yeah, exactly. I can't stress enough what a bad look it is to be making a big deal about somebody you're just like you're scared of, I guess. Making a big deal about Ron DeSantis. Ooh, how much he hates Ron DeSantis, etc., etc. But the guy hadn't declared yet.
I think he's been itching to talk. Wouldn't you say, Dr. Newsom?
I
mean,
think
don't you think this
so.
is going to be medicine for his soul?
Theoretically,
Just nailed
Trump
it,
could
Masha.
come out
It
at
is
any moment.
medicine for his soul. This is where he feeds his person.
Here's what I'm looking for. Is he going to freak out and rant, or is he going to give like a tight little my lawyers said, if you are going to do this dumbass press conference, you must say this and only this? Basically, what I'm looking for is he going to make the judge regret not saving them all some time and putting a gag order on him earlier today? That's what I'm looking for. Will he further incriminate himself? Standard Donald Trump stuff. Will he accidentally confess to a crime? Yada, yada, yada. Oh, no, don't ruin that song. I love that song. No, he's not worthy of that one. That's Hogan's tune. and not real life Hulk Hogan. That's fantasy WWF Hulk Hogan. Mars Falcon, or he will go directly after family members of the DA or judge, lie like he's been doing. Yeah. Could very easily go that way. Amanda Patton bets in now. What will be referred to as the biggest, the best, or the most ever? Number of charges? Size of handcuffs? Yeah, I think he is going to say. I think we're going to hear the phrase "like there's never been before," and I'm even gonna call it. You're gonna get a "like there's never been before" with the hands, T-Rexing as he does. I'm using all my maturity, of which there is not much, not just to be like, "Oh, he's screwed." I don't know that. I have not yet seen the case Alvin Bragg has in court. I can say with the utmost confidence, I can say with the utmost confidence that True Social is a bizarre app. So bizarre, in fact, that just then I wasn't quite sure if accidentally clicking on one of the ads from earlier had given my computer a virus. It didn't. There was one of these charges. I really looked through this very briefly, but one of these charges that I saw was interesting, and it was not falsifying business records in the first degree, as the vast majority are. The hell is it? All right, I'm going all the way to the end. Nope. Maybe it was one of the falsifying records. But one of these things is not like the other. Oh, well, I'll look it up on my own time when I have it. I'm going to link, though, this CNN Politics article, because they have helpfully embedded this whole thing. Whoop. Oh, God, are they playing one of those videos? Ugh, they are. I'm going to link the CNN article.
On stilts for a second. I'm just making sure that I wasn't losing my mind. But this is a live picture here, folks.
Okay.
You can see all
Okay.
the Trump flags. You can see the red MAGA hats, of course, showing their support for the former president of the United States. As we await Donald Trump, we're back here live with Masa Saidi.
Just really, you could not have a better, I guess, what do you call it? Analogy, metaphor for the bubble these folks wind up in. If you're one of those people, it must seem like the whole country's behind this guy. And I can understand how if you're that guy on the stilts there, it feels like Donald Trump is a superstar, and there's no way he lost the election. After all, I just went down to Mar-a-Lago, and there was a sea of people all excited. But, like, if you take a vial of arsenic, in fact, if you take a bucket of arsenic and you pour it into the ocean and wait a week, you can go sip some of that, let's say a lake. You can go sip some of that lake water and you'll be fine. Because even though a bucket of arsenic went in there, there's a lot more just normal water. Oh, good. They got the star of the evening, Eric Trump. Looking more like a sickly Frankenstein every day.
No, it's just a call to action. hoping that he keeps the call to action one of peaceful protest and not necessarily drop hints of anything.
Let's switch it
further.
over to them
And
while I
that's
link
what
the
think we're all
CNN
waiting
article.
and holding our breath for. Will he really speak the narrative of the political martyr, or will he use this as a call to action to mobilize people? And that's really at one of the heart of one of the cases that he's facing indictment on with the Department of Justice. Was his words during January 6th actually inciting violence? And is he guilty as being part
I
of the
wonder,
architect of
was
the
it?
January 6th insurrection?
Was
so
it
will this
indeed?
be a repeat of that rally? And what will it really look like? And how will people really react? And so just like we hope for any protest to be peaceful, we certainly hope that his call to action is one of peace.
And I will just add, absolutely, and this is just step one. This is going to be a long, lengthy process. The New York City Police Department, the finest police department in the world, best equipped to handle any potential issues. Every single member was deployed.
If you are a Trump supporter, I would like you to consider how effed up it is that they have to sit around hoping that the president doesn't call for violence against other Americans. And if you still support the guy after that, you should feel bad because your priorities aren't right. It's just the truth.
There are limited resources, and prosecutors have
We
discretion
have an
whether or
announcement
not.
coming in. Hold on, let's listen in.
The next president.
Oh, no. Nope. Negative. He is not that. Ooh. Oh, he's doing the full tie. I'm glad he's wearing the Trump uniform. Well over his belt line. Perfect. He never did learn that, did he? Sorry, I got to pull that down. I will get copyright struck. Still going. I don't know. He certainly has got more energy now that he's surrounded by his folks. But I don't know. That's a sour puss I see. Oh, God. Who? We were talking about Staples earlier. You know, this from the procedure. That got under my skin. Now I'm looking at that picture like, oh, is it though? Your old pal Jake can be just a little petty. There's Eric, hoping his dad remembers he's there. Just like soccer practice. I'm kidding. He never was under the illusion that his dad knew he was at soccer practice. Wireless Mike says sad trombone. Yeah. Mark L. Madison says we can just sing along at home. Yeah, it's a good song, man. I wish we didn't have to worry about copyright, but we surely do. Patrick Kibidote says he is like the Molly Shannon character in Seinfeld who doesn't move her arms when she walks. Right? I have to say, and this, and here I'll spread the hate around a little bit. The haterade. I'll dole out. What happens when you become a politician that you can't move right anymore? It's weird.
Could happen.
Oh,
America.
shit, he's talking.
Never thought it could happen. The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it.
And a whole slew of probably
From the
others.
beginning, the Democrats
And a coup.
spied on my campaign. Remember that?
I'm going to
They
just let him
attacked
talk for a
me
while.
with an
Jesus
onslaught
Christ.
of fraudulent investigations. Russia, Russia, Russia. Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. Impeachment hoax number 1. Impeachment hoax number 2. The illegal and
They were not hoaxes.
unconstitutional raid on Mar-a-Lago right here.
It was very much
The
not
lying to
illegal.
the FISA courts, the FBI and DOJ relentlessly pursuing Republicans, the unconstitutional changes to election laws by not getting approvals from state legislators, the
Don't even know
millions
what
of
he's talking
votes illegally stuffed into ballot boxes and all caught on
Straight up
government
lie.
cameras.
He's been
And
told
just
that is
recently,
not
the
the case.
FBI and DOJ in collusion with Twitter and Facebook
Would've
in
let him
order
have the
not
tech
to
problem.
say anything bad about the Hunter Biden laptop from hell, which exposes the Biden family as criminals and which, according to the pollsters, would have made a 17-point difference in the election result. And we needed a lot less than that, like about 16.9. It would have been in our favor, not my favor, our favor, because our country is going to hell. And we remember the 51 intelligence agents who said Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. It didn't exist. It was Russian disinformation. Remember that? And that was all confirmed strongly by the FBI.
So, he's lying. So, just want to say, delighted by the way this is going. It's his normal ranting. It's just his normal rants. Hopefully he doesn't turn this around.
At a scale never seen before in our country.
Oh, yeah.
Beginning with the radical left, George Soros-backed prosecutor Alvin Bragg of New York,
Little bigotry. Great.
who campaigned on the fact that he would get President Trump. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him.
Didn't
This
say
is the
that.
guy campaigning. He wanted to get President Trump at any cost, and this before he knew anything about me, didn't know a thing about me. He was campaigning. As it turns out, virtually everybody that has looked at this case, including rhinos and even hardcore Democrats, say there is no crime and that it should
Nope,
never
not true.
have been brought. Never have been brought. Everybody.
Just a straight up lie for the record.
Even people that aren't big fans have said it. They said this is not the right thing to do. It's an insult to our country as the world is already laughing at us for so many other reasons, like our open borders, our incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan, where we left behind American
Loving the comments.
citizens,
I'll chime in a
$85
moment.
billion worth of the best military equipment in the world. Lost 13 magnificent young lives and far too many to mention that are so badly hurt with the loss of arms and legs and facial obliteration. The most embarrassing time
What?
in our country's history, in my opinion.
Projection.
Then our give up on energy independence and even energy dominant. We're going to be dominant within 6 months, more than any other nation times 2. We had this all just 3 years ago. Our raging.
What is he, a child? More than any other nation times 2? What the
These numbers, the likes of which we have never seen before. The open threats by various countries of the use of nuclear weapons, something never mentioned or discussed by outside nations during the Trump administration, and which could very well lead under the Biden administration's leadership.
He doesn't want to specify which countries. His pal Russia threatened
War
nukes.
3 can happen. We're not very far
His
away
pal-
from it, believe it or not.
Putin.
An economy that
Is
has
the
been
fellow who
crippled
did
by
that.
the biggest inflation we have seen in more than 60 years, and a military that I used to defeat ISIS in 4 weeks. They said it would take 4 years. 4 weeks. To kill al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, that has now gone woke at the top levels by trying to indoctrinate everyone down to the lowest ranking patriot. But now they have really stepped up their efforts by indicting the 45th President of the United States, who received 75 million votes, which is more than any sitting president in the history of our country. And in the wings, they've got a local racist Democrat district attorney in Atlanta who is doing everything in her power to indict me over an absolutely perfect phone call, even more perfect than the one I made with the president of Ukraine, remember?
Now, Alvin Bragg is racist, and Fawny Willis, it turns out, is also racist.
Nobody said, sir, you shouldn't say
What
that.
is the through line?
Or hung up in disgust because of something I inappropriately said. Because nothing was said wrong. In fact, at the end of the call, we agreed to continue our conversation about election fraud, and election fraud specifically in Georgia at a later time. Many people on the phone, including lots of lawyers, nobody found anything wrong with that perfect call until a book promotion tour many months later. All of a sudden they say, you know, I remember Trump making a call. Let's look at that. This fake case was brought only to interfere with the upcoming 2024 election, and it should be dropped immediately.
Rustbox got jokes. My word. What was that one earlier? I'm turning it back up.
Who is harassing hundreds of my people day after day over the Boxes hoax. You know, the Boxes hoax, as we call it. Just so everyone knows, I come under what's known as the Presidential Records Act, which was designed and approved by Congress long ago just for this reason. Under the
Confessing
act,
to another
I'm
crime?
supposed to negotiate with NARA, the National Archives and Records Administration, which as of this
Big ol'
date
check.
is a radical left troublemaking organization that red flags the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights as dangerous and triggering. Can you imagine? This is what we have to deal with. But there is no criminality under the Presidential Records Act. That is not what it's all about. We were negotiating in very good faith, proper way, in order to return some or all of the documents that I openly and in very plain sight brought with me to Mar-a-Lago from our beautiful White House, just as virtually every other president has done in the past. When FBI and DOJ officials with NARA were here, I told my lawyer to show them the very secure storage room in which they were locked. The FBI's sole request in writing was, could you please put another lock on the door?
For
We
what?
immediately complied.
For what? Another lock
It's a lot
on the
different
door
than the Biden situation, isn't it?
for...
The next thing I know, we were raided by many gun-toting FBI agents who took whatever they wanted, including my passports and medical records. Everybody was in shock. Nobody had ever heard of such a raid before.
Yeah, it's never been necessary before. Before people would return these when
Protects
asked.
against unreasonable search and seizure. But they did it anyway because our justice...
I can't get over the the National Archives being who did he say was a radical left organization?
Apparently, they're not looking at me through the view of the Non-Criminal Presidential Records Act. They came up with a new one. This is a new one. And they're looking at me through the Espionage Act. Think of that. How does that sound? Of 1917, where the penalty is
We've
death.
never heard of boxes before.
Even
I
though
think
that
no
has
one has.
absolutely nothing to do
Markel
with
Madison.
openly taking boxes of documents and mostly clothing and other things to my home, which President Obama has done, the Bushes have done, Jimmy Carter's done, Ronald
Yeah, mostly
Reagan has
clothing, some national security documents, and, you know, knickknacks, state
done. Hillary
secrets,
Clinton got rid
tchotchkes.
of 33,000 emails, and that was okay. But nobody's done it like Joe Biden.
What?
This lunatic special prosecutor named Jack Smith, I wonder what it was prior to a change,
Oh, God.
who others of his ilk say he's even worse than they are. is only looking at Trump. Yet Joe
Yeah. They said they're even worse than me, and I'm terrible. What?
to Chinatown. You believe that? Just got $10 million from China. Where did that come from? I guess they were banking on Hunter's expertise. And had others stored in unsecured offices in Pennsylvania and strewn all over his garage floor where his now very famous Corvette is also stored. All over the floor, including classified documents. But that's okay.
And he returned them.
Perhaps most importantly, he
When
has
asked.
1,850 boxes in Delaware, which he is refusing to give up.
No, he isn't.
But isn't that real obstruction? That's
No.
obstruction. As
He didn't
president,
do it.
I have the right to declassify
He didn't do it.
documents. And the process is automatic if I take them with me. It's automatic.
You're not the president. Biden is the
Biden
president.
was vice
By that
president.
logic, right
He had
now,
absolutely no right
Biden
to
could declassify
as vice
all of
president.
that. By that
He
logic.
doesn't come under the Non-Criminal Presidential Records Act. He comes under the very criminal Federal Records Act, unfortunately for him, but it's not going to matter
What
because
the hell?
they don't follow the law, which has very severe penalties. He had classified documents that he took while he was a senator, which is
If you are a Trump supporter and you got the guts to watch this, first of all, I respect that. Second of all, this dude is just straight up lying to you. I hope you look up what he's talking about because it is
they
nonsense.
seem to have forgotten about his documents entirely. So
Because
many, thousands
he
and
returned them when
thousands.
asked.
It's okay with him. They like to say that I'm obstructing, which I'm not.
Yeah. No,
Because I was
for
working
sure.
with NARA very nicely until the raid on my home.
What do you mean working with? You've got documents. Here they are. That's that. By the way, we're still missing documents to our knowledge. Still missing documents.
Located in Chinatown. Can't explain it. Why were they in Chinatown? I don't know.
Okay, remember how I was saying that I think this motherfucker might have sold some of those? He's really, really doing some projecting right now. I'm just saying.
Campaign doing, I will get Trump. I will get him.
No, he said that
This was her
no one. All
campaign.
right,
Never
just gonna
ran
let him
for
go on for a
office.
moment.
I will get him. Her name is Letitia James.
Ooh, is she racist
And
too?
she proclaimed while campaigning, quote, I look forward to going into the office of the Attorney
Sounds like a
General
racist
single
name.
day, suing him, and then going home. Just before she knew me. She announced, what is fueling my soul right now is Trump. And that she had her eyes on Trump Tower. Those eyes are focused on Trump Tower. Didn't know the young lady. She even assured her supporters in an election promise that we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally.
Well, I mean, she was right, clearly.
And then
You just
she
said it.
claimed that I was an illegitimate president. Think of it. With all we did on energy, with all we did on the military, on taxes, biggest tax cuts in history,
For the
biggest
rich, sure.
regulation cuts in history, right to
Yep.
try.
Which led to
people
Norfolk
able to
Southern
get drugs now that
and
aren't
SVB.
approved. Hopefully you don't have that problem. Letitia James vowed to use every area of the law to, quote, investigate President Trump and his business transactions. Those transactions are going to be investigated, she said. And that of her family and his family. Because we're going after his family, and we're going after them hard. This is all before entering office and all before knowing anything at all about me. But she's going to get me.
He did
This is
live
why,
in this
along with
country
unrelenting
while he
crime,
was in charge of it.
So many people
I
in
think she
companies
knew a lot
are
about it.
leaving New York. She said that I falsified my financial statements, but in fact we're proving and
It's what's
will
happening in
prove that
Florida
my
right now.
financial statements were substantially more than we submitted, not less. And in all cases have a strong disclaimer clause in them which tells the institutions that may look at that if they want to, not to rely on the statement. But they've got a problem with their case because, number one, I'm very underleveraged. They can't believe it. All the stuff they read and gave. And have very little debt relative to the value of assets. And importantly, not one bank has lost even $1. She was investigating me to save banks. They have very good lawyers.
Simply not
They
accurate.
didn't lose
Guy
a
cannot
dollar
get a loan
with us during this
because
period
he's
of time.
so bad with
In
these.
fact, the banks we're talking about
Why
made
he works
almost
with Deutsche
$200
Bank.
million off Donald Trump, and they liked me very much. We never missed a payment, never got a default.
What?
notice, had a great relationship with all of them. I don't need banks.
This
A
is
lot of
just
cash.
straight up not true.
Built a great business.
It's
with my
irrelevant and
family,
not
built
true.
a fantastic business.
Oh, can he do it? Oh, he just got it done.
I have a son here who's done a great job, and I have another son here who's done a great job.
I think their names are, I want to say Jim and also
Ivanka
Jim.
And Barron
They both
will
look like
be
a Jim.
great someday. He's tall. He's tall. And he's smart. But I have
Yeah.
a great family, and they've done a fantastic job. and we
Comparatively,
appreciate
I
it
guess.
very much. They've done great. So she's suing me over banks that weren't defrauded, when she should be focused on violent crime that's driving people out of the state. This is a persecution, not an investigation. She's put our family through hell. It's cost hundreds of millions of dollars to defend, but our heads are held very, very high. They want to settle the case, but I want no part of that. So here we are now. It's where we were today, in a city that
What?
was so great just 4 or 5 years ago.
Jesus.
But now we're there. Spend time there today, as you possibly read, with a local failed district attorney charging a former president of the United States for the first time in history on a basis that every single pundit and legal analyst said, there is no case. There's no case. They kept
What?
saying, there's no case.
Every single pundit, did they? He means every single pundit you've seen. Crowd that's listening to me.
Because he knew there was no case.
Also, failed district attorney that just made history by charging a former
Threw this
president.
ridiculous indictment together. Came out today, everybody said, this is not really an indictment. There's nothing here. Our
No,
lawyers came to me and
just
they
your
said,
lawyers.
There's nothing here. They're not even saying what you did. The
They
criminal
very
is the
clearly
district
spelled it out.
attorney because he illegally leaked massive amounts of grand jury information for which he should be prosecuted.
Just correcting the record in case somebody accidentally stumbles and believes him. He leaked it. That guy leaked the info.
On felonies. She has since locked down her Twitter account. His chief prosecutor, who represented the Democrats and crooked Hillary Clinton in a firm run by Chuck Schumer's brother, Robert, he quit the firm in order to go to work in the DA office in order to get Trump. Can you imagine that? Hillary Clinton's lawyer, Democrat firm. Ultimately, he quit as chief prosecutor because Bragg didn't think he had a case. Think of that same guy that brought this ridiculous thing today. Yet during his investigation, this prosecutor named Mark Pomerantz wrote and published a book saying all sorts of privileged things and has been very strongly reprimanded. He was reprimanded so strongly. I've never seen anything like it. That's probably the end of it. But what he did was probably very illegal. But he was very, very strongly reprimanded. Even District Attorney Bragg was furious with him. They were having a tremendous fight in the office because of it. But hope is never lost because various
That was true.
prosecutors in the DA's office also quit because they thought President Trump was being treated very unfairly. How about that? Isn't that great? Oh, I love them. I'd like to meet them. I'd like to meet them. The DA's office even had a webpage. Meet the team of executives who have done this to President Trump. That was the title. Isn't that nice? They immediately had to take it down.
What?
Meanwhile, overall crime in New York was up 30% last year. Much more than that the year before, with felony assaults, robberies, and
Crime
burglaries
in New
all
York was the
alike.
same as it was under Rudy Giuliani, fun fact.
Not the same place.
Just to be clear, he said, meet the team that has done this to President Trump. He said that is exactly what it said
Trump-hating judge
on the website.
with a Trump-hating wife and family.
I suspect that isn't
Daughter
true,
worked
but to be
for
fair, I don't know
Kamala
that.
Harris, and now receives money from the Biden-Harris campaign and a lot of them. We recently had another trial, and the same judge told the fine man who worked for me for many, many years that if you admit your guilt, you will be in jail for 90 days. But if you don't, if we go through a trial and you're found guilty, you're going away for 10 years and maybe longer. Which for a 75-year-old man with a great family really means life. What the
Yeah, it does.
prosecutors and judge did to that man, I will never forget. Because it's right out of the old Soviet Union. That's where we are. They said, you say anything about Trump, meaning that's bad, and you won't even have to serve the 90 days. You'll walk free.
Yeah,
And they say
they
that
want him to flip
many of my
on his
employees.
criminal boss.
We have this Jack Smith lunatic threatening people every single day through his representatives. They're threatening jail terms. But talk about Trump and you'll go free. This is where we are as a nation. Who would have
Yeah.
thought
Yeah,
they can't beat us at the ballot box, so they try and beat us.
beat you pretty thoroughly
through
at the
the
ballot
law.
box.
That's the country in which we live, however, right now. The USA is a mess.
wow.
Our economy is crashing, inflation is out of control. Russia has joined with China. Can you believe that? Saudi Arabia has joined with Iran. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea have formed together as a menacing and destructive coalition. Would have never happened if I were your president. Would never have happened.
True, because we
Nor
would have joined with Russia.
Attacking Ukraine have happened. All of those lives would be saved. All of those beautiful cities would be saved. Our currency is crashing and will soon no longer be the world standard, which will be our greatest defeat, frankly, in 200 years. There will be no defeat like that. That will take us away from being even a great power. If you took the 5 worst presidents in the history of the United States and added them up, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as Joe Biden and the Biden administration have done.
All right, well, he's just doing goofy stuff. Let's read some comments because this is a silly man. John McDonough, what the hell is this guy talking about? He's wasting everyone's time. Trump is the strangest man ever, and he just tells this meandering bullshit, which is at best just a shitty story. Yes. Mark L. Madison says, okay, as long as it's an annoyed Susan Platchett, he ends up walking up into the... I didn't catch the context. You'll be stone cold dead within the year, Alan. Trump to CFO. Jesus Christ. All right, let's see. You doing anything interesting?
Beloved country, I have no doubt, nevertheless, that we will make America great again. Thank you very much. God bless you, and
Oh,
God
good,
bless
thank you.
America. Thank you very much.
Bye, nerd. Enjoy the prison cell. All right, we're going to go into what we learned there. Oh, well, that was good for a chuckle. Okay, who was that? Was that Perd Beer, or was that Rust Blocks that said that he was basically begging the judge to issue a gag order? Because yes, I mean, come on. Let's read some of these comments. What you want to bet, says Wireless Mike. He talks like this in the mirror or in the shower or on the toilet, just yammering. He's basically talking to himself at this point, yes. Wow, just absurd, says Mars Falcon. Yep. Perd Beer says Whoopi Goldberg should also shoulder some blame. I'm going to read through this comment chain later because, damn it, it looks like fun. Low energy fib fest. Sad, says Mars Falcon. Yeah. Perd Beer, you got the jokes, man. Make communal showers great again. Yes, sir. No demands for riots, at least, says Rustbox. Wholeheartedly agreed. I'm glad that he kept it in the Trump sense. Classy. Mark L. Madison says, so he lays out his campaign grievances. Yeah. Patrick Gibido. So Trump only cried for half an hour. That's progress. Yeah. Yeah, John McDonough says, Mike is right. That's interesting. Trump sort of talks to himself. Very much so. Very much so. Wicked Foxy, Dragon. Good to see you, my friend. What the planet does he live on? Yeah, it's insane. That talk where he was like, if you take the 5 worst presidents ever and taped them together in a big ball, then Biden's worse than that. Or like, it's the worst ever thing times 2 plus infinity plus a Google. Like, he's just, oh God. At some point it's got to be embarrassing, right? To say you're a fan of this guy, at some point it's got to be like, oh, what politician do you like? Donald Trump. Like, it's got to be. All right, yeah, he didn't say go out and commit crimes, everybody. Neat. Good for him. Good for him for avoiding that. That gag order's coming. There's no way. When did they say this was we were gonna next hear about this? December? He's not gonna make it all the way till then. Especially because there's those 30 plus counts, was 32, 34 counts to go through. I think they're all, it's the same thing from 100 different angles. It's just him doing the same crime over and over and over and over again. And what was most interesting about it is, yeah, those are the receipts they found, and they found a lot of receipts. They found a trail of these things, and the involvement of AMI is so interesting because that's a whole nother business entity committing these crimes at the same time. If you and I both own our own businesses, and then we also run a meth lab together, and we launder the money for the meth lab through both of our businesses have committed fraud as well, or money laundering, whatever it is. We have individually done that. So the involvement of AMI makes this so much wilder. Also, fun fact about AMI, if you remember that interview we did a while back regarding the reading, the effed up reading techniques that are being taught, or that are being the good ones that are being campaigned against. AMI has a hand in that as well, because the reporter who's out pushing those theories, essentially they work for a company which is owned by AMI. It's just such a bizarre chain of corruption that we've got. Yeah, there's not any. I mean, just like with the indictment, there wasn't any big surprises. You could have done, as was pointed out, a bingo card with what Trump was going to say. They won the election. Ballot stuffing. Hunter Biden's laptop. Why is Hunter Biden's laptop being brought up constantly? It just, He's got nothing. He's got nothing. But the most revealing thing to me in that whole press conference was the moment where he said, all the pundits said I did nothing. That is something you only say if you are addressing your crowd and you know your crowd only watches one news source. They are going to be waking up, and we talked about this in the member chat. They're going to be waking up bit by bit. Not because it's going to, anybody's going to have this very mature revelation. Not normally how this happens. It's going to be because they're curious about what's going on, and they're not going to be able to get information that aligns with reality from Fox. Just like they're not going to be able to get accurate information about the Dominion lawsuit from Fox. And so we've had a bunch of people turn up even in these streams seeking information about Dominion. Same thing's going to happen with these Trump criminal trials. Because Fox is going to tell them everything's fine. Trump will be fine. Trump's going to beat this thing easy. And bit by bit, it's going to look worse and worse for Trump, and they're going to have to readjust. My point is, we're going to have visitors, folks. And when that happens, I would love it if y'all could keep on being exactly like you were earlier. There was people in the stream who were saying things that were simply not true. And you guys were objecting to it, but you were being, ladies and gentlemen about it. So, guys, gals, and gender non-conforming pals, I'm proud of you. I'm proud that we have this community here. I think we're going to pull some people out of the dark side. And by the way, what is best about that is not that we've got a brand new ally. Hey, welcome to the side of the truth tellers. It's that if we're able to do that, we're able to articulate a good argument. It's more for us than it is for them. Because if we require everybody to come in agreeing with us, then we're not doing anything constructive. And we need to do that because it's campaign season now. And if we want to fix all the problems with this country, many of which have cropped up over decades, some of which were introduced by that orange clown, we're going to need to convince a lot of folks to vote blue, which means we're going to need to get comfortable having conversations with people like that. And incidentally, if we can convince people to quit voting against their own interests, oh, wouldn't that just be lovely? That's a cherry on top. I, however, am going to read some of these comments. Perd Beard. What? Perd Beer says, I noticed Rupert's engagement was called off today. Wasn't the best day for the good old boys. Apparently not. John McDonough says, Trump is trying to warn us. Mars Falcon says, Trump is trying to warn us we are in the Matrix on Hunter's laptop. Well, fair enough. I take it back. He's right to point that out then. Wicked Foxy Dragon. My dog just told Jake, no, I really wish you could hear her. Son of a gun, I forgot the name. I'm going to look back, and now I'm going to start calling out to your dog randomly just to make your life a little bit harder, but maybe more interesting, because I think that is very, very funny. I like the fact that she doesn't take any sass from your old pal, Jake. It's a smart dog. Perd Beer, I feel sorry for the attorney who has to work on the sentencing part. Woof, that's going to be a rough couple of months. All right, y'all. I am going to skedaddle. I have enjoyed this immensely. I love hanging out with you guys. We've got more tomorrow. The normal streaming time these days is 8 p.m., and from time to time I'll do a bonus stream in the morning. Until then, this has been WYCD Wicked on Arraignment Day. from a newly more just America. Don't you just love it? We will see you next time. My name's Jake.